good, y'all? What's up with it? Ow! It's your girl, Poppy, and we back on Pop Talk. And today, we're talking about how I am now a working woman. And not only am I a working woman, but I'm a working mom. Period! Let's get into it. Okay, so if you know me, honestly, if you just look at my channel, you know that I just recently had my son in January. So for the year of 2020, basically, I was pregnant. I was a senior in college. I just graduated in December. And so obviously for me to be here now, 2 months postpartum with a full-time job, I definitely had to have some motivators to get me here, right? So, quick little story. My entire fall semester that I was in college and pregnant, every single day, my dad would look at me and be like, "You're finna graduate. You're gonna get your D1 degree. You finna get your degree." And I would be like so unmotivated to do any of my classes, any of my work, but he would stay on my butt. Every single day, this man came in my room trying to make sure I was doing my homework, trying to make sure I was preparing for my test. Anytime I told him that I had an assignment to do and I wasn't doing it, he'd be like, "Why you ain't working on your assignment? Why you not studying for your test? Don't you got a test next week? Are you really gonna graduate? Are you really graduating in December? Are you really graduating? Now you go graduate, right? I'm just trying to make sure you're graduating." Every single day, multiple times a day. Even if he was at work, he would call me at work and be like, "You studying? You're working on your homework? You know your graduation in 2 weeks." Like, y'all, I'm not kidding, every single day. So when we finally got to my graduation day, I was like, thank you, Jesus, that I graduated today. Because if I had not graduated, that man probably would have gave me a whooping. And I am 22 years old. But anyways, he was definitely one of my biggest, if not my biggest. He always tells me he's my biggest fan. And I completely believe that. So shout out to my dad for believing in me, supporting me, and pushing me to do the things that I need to do in my life to be successful. So after I graduated in December, the whole thing switched and he was like, "Do you have a resume? Have you gotten your resume done? Have you kept up with everything you did in college? You need to make a resume. You need to apply to some jobs." He was like, "What do you want to do with your life?" Literally every single day this man would ask me this question. I was 9 months pregnant. I just graduated. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm about to have a whole baby. And I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And so he literally came in my room and he was like, "Look, you need to have a 5-year plan. What do you want to do in 5 years for not only yourself, but for you and your son now? Like, you have real things you have to think about. What is your goals? What are your plans?" And I was like, you know what? Let me quit messing around. You know, I do need to figure this out. Like, this is my life. And this is something that, and I need to figure out what I want to do. You know what I mean? And so I remember I sat in my room, I was journaling, and I said, what was I good at in college? What do I want to pursue in the real world? You know, what did I like about my college experience? And so that came down to two things: marketing and my job as a campus tour guide for OSU that you already knew I did for a few years. And so I was like, okay, I love marketing, but I don't know enough about it right now to work in the marketing sector. I got my degree in pre-law economics, so I could go the pre-law route. I could get a job in like business analytics, but that wasn't really my passion. I didn't really want to do that right now. You know what I mean? And so then I was like, boom, I want to work in admissions. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to get my resume together and start looking for jobs in admissions. And then I said, as far as marketing goes, I want to get a master's. I want to go to school, get a master's, study marketing, study film production, marketing, all of that. Communications. I want to get a higher degree in marketing. And then I was like, boom, okay, so what I'm going to do for the next 5 years is work in admissions and work on getting a master's degree in marketing. So I told my parents, and my dad said, "That's a great plan. Not paying for your master's degree though." And I said, "Oh no, wouldn't ask you to. You got me through my bachelor's degree. I'll get myself through my master's, but that's what I want to do." And he was like, "That sounds great. Where do you want to work? Look at schools, look at jobs." And y'all, this is all in December, right after I graduated in December, 9 months pregnant. So I called my big sister, Bree. She is the connoisseur of resumes. I'm like, "Hey, I found a couple of universities I want to apply to. I want to work in admissions. Help me groom my resume and my cover letters so I can get a job." And she was like, "Bet, say less, period." Okay, so it's January 1. My due date is January 13th. I have submitted my applications to the places I want to work, and I put it in God's hands. You know, it's like I prayed about it. This is what I want to do. And if God wants this to work out for me, he's going to let it work out. So first week of January, I get an email from you know who, and they're like, hey, we'd love to interview you. Let's do an over the phone 30-minute interview Friday, January 8th. And I'm like, all right, bet, let's do it. Funny story. My last doctor's appointment before giving birth to Jeremiah was January 7th. So I went to see my doctor on January 7th. He was like, you didn't have your baby this week, so let's just go ahead and induce you. Let's check into the hospital tonight and you can have your baby tomorrow. And I was like, whoa. I got a job interview tomorrow. And he was like, a job interview? You like about to have a baby next week. And I was like, yeah, I know, but the ball is rolling. God is putting this on my plate to do, and I have a job interview. If we can have a baby after 1:30 p.m. on Friday, then we can do that. And he was like, you cannot have a baby tomorrow. Just reschedule. We're just going to have the baby on your due date, January 13th. And I was like, bet, say less. So I had my first interview over the phone, January 8th. So I had my interview. I felt really good about it. And then my whole focus shifted to having Jeremiah. January 13th week, I had my baby. Y'all go check out that video that I'm going to link somewhere in this corner. Please go watch Birthing Jeremiah. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful experience. And yeah, so after that, I think a couple of days after I had Jeremiah, I received an email from you know who for a second round interview. And I was like, oh, okay, 2 rounds. Let's do this. And they scheduled, so I scheduled that second round interview for, honestly, I think maybe a week postpartum. And for all my women that have had babies out there, that was tough. That was really tough. It was hard for me to still kind of sit, walk, and move regularly. I had a ton of stitches after I had Jeremiah, and just kind of regrouping your body after giving birth, it's a lot. Like, it was really a lot. But thankfully, you know, I prayed about it. God said, you're going to get this job, but you have to go through the process to get it. And I was like, okay. And he was like, if you want the job, you'll go through the interview process and do as you need to do. If you don't want the job, you won't do it. That's literally what he told me. And I said, okay, I want the job. I need the job. I'm going to do the interview process. I'm going to push through it. So my sister actually bought me a girdle that you wear after you have a baby to kind of like suck your body in together. And she was like, wear this. It's going to put all of your organs back in place. It's going to help you lose the body weight. And it's also going to help you build the stamina up to do your second round interview, which was a Zoom call. And so I was like, oh my gosh, these people have to look at me. I have to look at people. Like, I'm in a very vulnerable state right now. I have to look at people. And I remember my dad, this whole process, was calling me, make sure you look nice. You know, fix yourself up. Do your hair. You can do it. You can do this. Get through the interview process. I know you can. You're the dynamite. That's his nickname for me, Dynamite. Because I do be popping off sometimes. It take a lot, you know. Dynamite take time. Boom, dynamite, you know. Anyways, I did my second round interview. And it went really good. Like, honestly, my big sisters helped me prepare for all my interviews. They sent me mock interview questions to practice on. Like, honestly, if I did not have my big sisters that helped me with my resume too, like, y'all, honestly, my family has pushed me to this point. Like, literally, if it was not for them, I would not be standing here, like, doing the things that I'm doing. And the Lord, of course, period. Anyways, so we do the second round interview. And I'm like, all right, okay, like, this is good. This is great. Like, okay, I'm probably going to get the job. I feel really good about it. Mind you, I graduated in December. I had my first interview the beginning of January. Middle of January, I gave birth to Jeremiah. End of January is my second round interview. So now we're seeping into the last week of January, beginning of February. And I get a phone call and I'm like, ooh, I'm about to get a job. And they're like, third round interview. And I was like, how many rounds of interview I gotta do? Lord, how many rounds of interview is it? I never done this before. And then I started thinking to myself, like, I have never interviewed for a job outside of college. Like, this is my first time in the working world. This is my first time interviewing for a job. And so I'm like, 3 rounds of interview is normal. Like, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And so I called my older sisters and I'm like, y'all, I got called for a 3rd round interview. I'm like, how many interviews do y'all do for jobs? And they're like, 1. I was like, 1? You only did 1 interview? And I was like, Bree. She was like, 1. We don't know what you're doing. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing either. And so 3rd round interview is in person. Now, y'all know I have at this point, what, a 5-week-old baby maybe? No, I think Jeremiah was like 3 weeks old at this point. COVID is a thing. I'm like, masking up, social distancing, don't touch me. And they're like, oh no, we follow all COVID protocols. We honestly have our own COVID protocols in place. All of our employees take the COVID test weekly. I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, everybody got negative COVID tests. I'm there for it. I gotta keep me and my baby safe, period. My dad is like, you got an in-person interview, go get you an outfit, get whatever you need to look good, feel great. My mom gave me a whole like facial and did my hair. I was like, y'all are really pampering me, and I really appreciate it, because when you're postpartum, you need people like that to like make you feel good and hype you up, and facials, and I don't know. It was just really, really nice. So we get to the in-person interview. It went great. I felt like it went great. Obviously, it did. But it went great, and that's when I was like, I think I'm gonna get a job. I was like, there's no way they can't hire me. I prepared as best I could for each interview. I put my faith in the Lord. I trusted in Him. I listened to Him. And I feel like this is gonna work out for me, because when you're a child of God, it's gonna work out for you, okay? Even if you feel like it's not going to, or you don't think it's working out in the way that you planned it in your mind to, or the way that you thought it was supposed to, God is still gonna show you and give you something even greater than you can imagine, okay? So, we're in February, and yeah, Jeremiah hits his 1-month-old mark after my 3rd interview. And I'm sitting here like, am I really going to get a job with a 1-month-old baby? Like, is that really a thing? Does that happen? Like, I'm going to get a job 2 months after I graduated from college in the middle of a pandemic? Like, I was sitting here like, God, I'm amazed. God, like, how did you let this happen? So mind you, I'm just sitting here letting the weeks pass by. Like, they're just doing their hiring process. It's cool. It's fine. And then, if you know, I live in Texas. Middle of February, we got hit with an ice storm. Everything shut down. Power went out. Very high stress, high anxiety time for me and my family, especially being home with a newborn. We, thankfully, we had electricity, water, and heat the entire week, but it's kind of living on that edge point of, at any point in time, all of this can turn off. All of this can shut off. Water pressure got low. It was just a very, very scary time, especially with a newborn. But thankfully, the Lord got us through that. But after the ice storm, my sister was like, you put references on your thing, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, you might want to text them and let them know, like, you apply for a job, they might receive a call, because they check references. And I was like, jobs actually check references? Because in college, when you put references down, you know, it's just a college job. They don't really be calling people like that. And my sister was like, you just went through 3 rounds of interview. They're probably calling your references. Like, you need to tell your references. And I was like, are they really going to call them? Let me text them. So it's literally, y'all, I cannot make this up. Literally, as soon as I text my references, like, hey, I just applied for a job, you might get a call. They're like, oh, Baylor called me 3 days ago. Oh, Baylor called me last week. Oh, Baylor actually just called me. Why didn't you tell me you was applying? And I was like, oh, snap. They actually called my references. Y'all, I just graduated college. I don't know what's going on. So anyways, yeah, Baylor called my references before I even could get in contact with my references. So that was cool. And then literally the same day I texted my references, I got the call from Baylor saying, we're offering you the job. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And then I was like, Lord, you was being for real? Because, you know, a lot's been going on in my life. And so I was really weary of, you know, what was really going to happen. You know, he told me, but I was like, I believe you, but I don't know. Life's been crazy for me. And so when it happened, I was like, wow. Like, even when my faith was the size of a mustard seed and I had a feeling it was going to happen and I had a feeling that it could happen, it was like that moment when it actually happened. I didn't know how to feel. I was just like, that's the story of how I graduated from college 9 months pregnant in December, had my baby in January, interviewed and got offered a job in February, and then started that job in March. Now an entire different door has opened of being a working mom, you know, because I've gotten comfortable being at home taking care of Jeremiah every day. I was comfortable, like, okay, like I'm just gonna be at home taking care of Jeremiah. And now I'm at home working 8 to 5 and still having to take care of Jeremiah. And I appreciate my mom so much for like basically being his babysitter. But then it gets so hard when my body's not used to waking up 8 to 5. My body's not used to staying up late taking care of Jeremiah all through the night, then working from 8 to 5. Like, I've had my days already in just 2 weeks where I am mentally exhausted. I'm physically exhausted. But it's the biggest blessing that I could have ever gotten. Like, I myself am still processing everything that's happened over the past 4 months. What is March, December, January, February, March, over the past 4 months. And while I'm processing that, I'm still having to like learn and move in that and grow in that and learn how to navigate working, having to navigate being a new mom, and then like how these worlds kind of collide. It also gave me a lot of insight on my parents. Like, y'all, parents literally work all dang day, then come home to their kids. And then when I was a kid, sometimes I'd be getting in trouble. Like, sometimes I would have an attitude and be mad. And it's just like, I appreciate them so much more, because when you work all day and then you come home to your kids acting up, or to your kids just being kids, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, and now I understand, like, when my mom and dad would work all day and then come home and be in a mood or just feel kind of funky. You know what I mean? But when I was a kid, I was like, oh my God, you're home. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's play. Let's do that. And they were like, no, I cannot play with you today. And I'd be like, play with me. Play with me. Oh my God. Because you're a kid and you don't realize that they're doing all these other things behind the scenes. But, you know, I don't even think any of this is going to be an actual video. Through it all, I've just seen how faithful God is and how powerful trusting in Him and believing in Him is throughout this entire experience. It's just like one of those situations that is just so mind-blowing. It couldn't be anything but the Lord, you know? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that story time. And, you know, comment something down below. My love language is words of affirmation, and I would really appreciate hearing some of that, especially after completing my first 2 weeks on the job and being a working mom and trying to balance, you know, taking care of Jeremiah, taking care of myself, and going to work. It's definitely a learning curve, another one. But it's going to be okay, because God's going to get me through it, and I'm going to continue doing the best that I know how to do in any and every aspect and situation in my life. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and definitely subscribe to Pop Talk. I obviously am going to have a lot of things coming up that I can talk to you guys about and tell you guys about, especially with Jeremiah and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I'm going to have a lot of good things coming up, period. With that being said, it's your girl Poppy signing off. Peace, love, and blessings. Remember to live your life with hashtag all smiles.